go up any further, I'm gonna break it. All right, welcome to the October 9th Board of Education meeting. Can I ask everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Lillo, would you lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You wanna bring it up now?
Doesn't say fine, yeah, that's true. Thank God it's not red wine in there. For a number of reasons.
Okay, thank you everybody for your patience. We have just the emergency exits. In the event of an emergency, there's one in the back of the room, and then the entrance that you came in here. In the event of an emergency, please follow directions of security and exit in an orderly fashion. This is a smoke-free school district. Smoking is not permitted in the building or anywhere on school grounds, and this is a hate-free and bully-free school district. Moving on to item C, board consent.
Thank you, President Pacini. The administration recommends the approval of board consent items reflected in Schedules C1 through C2.
C1 and C2, can I have a motion? Mr. Barry, seconded by Ms. Kavanaugh. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'm sorry, is somebody checking in on Ann?
Yes.
You are? Okay, no discussion from Ann?
Any discussion, Ann? Any discussion, Ann?
Okay, no, great. All those in favor? Online, no vote? Motion carries. 5 yes, 1, we don't know. Item D, communications and announcements.
Thank you.
Chief.
Move up to the podium. I just want to make sure. Perfect. All right. Remember not to walk with my reading glasses. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our first October board business meeting. Bless you. And Joe Metz. So let me begin. Welcome, everyone. Let me start by just kind of reviewing some happenings from the last couple of weeks. I had the good fortune of attending the NSCIS Fall Conference. NSCIS is the New York State Council of School Superintendents. Basically, the title, the thematic element of the conference was Public Education, the Pathway to Everywhere. Some of the major themes that were discussed were regionalization, foundation aid and the reworking of the formula, the portrait of a graduate, what that's going to look like moving forward. In terms of foundation aid, the Rockefeller Institute is supposed to release their new formula and their recommendations December 1st. And the Blue Ribbon Commission is supposed to release their sort of conclusions with the portrait of the graduate in November. So we're looking and anticipating that information.
Ann cannot hear anything.
What's that? Honestly, the best thing to do is to listen to the YouTube broadcast.
Tony, she says Tony, the superintendent muted his computer, maybe that's why.
I just unmuted Christine.
You did. Can she hear it now?
All right,
What
can
am
you
I,
hear?
but I gotta lower the volume here, we need this echo, right?
No, that's muted.
No, it's not, I'm hearing you speak
Oh,
through
yeah,
this.
put the volume all the way down. Sorry for little technology hiccups.
Got it.
All right, so let me continue. So, and then basically the sort of a lot of the thinking and the conversations had at the conference was basically change to meet the needs of a changing world. And there's a lot of provocative thinking that occurred. I took pictures of some of these quotes that I wanted to share because I think it sort of encapsulates the conference. But one of the things that was sort of delivered by Jason Andrews, who's a superintendent in Windsor, New York, is that almost everyone wants schools and teaching to be better, but almost no one wants them to be different. And I think that speaks to the nostalgia we feel about the way schools were when we were younger, and the fact that this world is different, and so we have to do things differently. To be outstanding, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. A step backward after making a wrong turn is a step in the right direction. Success does not have a straight path. There's a little graphic that you can't really see there, but success has a lot of curves and in different directions and leading towards your goals. And Maya Angelou quote that I like is, do your best until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. So again, the idea is to get perpetual growth and sort of changing our strategies to meet the ever-changing needs of our communities. The conference was also good for networking. Beth Doyle joined me at the conference, as well as Jackie O'Hagan, and I got to meet some old colleagues, Ms. Santorello from Comac Schools and Dr. Jacob, which I worked with in previous school districts. So again, the conference was very fruitful and informative, so I'm glad I won, and it's always a great experience. I also wanted to share, our keynote address was made by Richard Corain. He's a founding partner at Union Square Hospitality Group, which is odd. It's a restaurant tour giving a keynote address to a group of educators. But basically their premise was about taking care of customers and being sort of customer-centered in your approach to dealing with the public. The quote I have in this little photo I have, which says basically their philosophy is work hard and be nice to people. And that's basically, I think, a philosophy we can all embrace in our public schools. So I thought that was something worth noting. I also had the good fortune of attending the NYSSBA Resolutions Dinner. Basically, to sum up, we'll discuss some of these resolutions a little later tonight in tonight's agenda. But basically, all the school boards send representatives from Long Island to vote on proposed resolutions. Some of the things that really resonated with me in sitting there and listening to this process was the modernization of civil service. Right now, when we seek out to fill civil service positions, it's a very antiquated system that relies on the mail, paper mail. So we're looking to see if that could be modernized. Capital project approvals, we're trying to shorten the timeline on those capital project approvals from the state. The community well knows we have capital improvement projects that were voted on in October of 2022 that have yet to be approved by the state. Not because of what we like to do our due diligence, but just because of the time delay. It's estimated it takes about 18 to 24 months for these projects to be approved. The timely decisions on school aid. If you recall last year, the school aid final numbers came out after we passed our budget vote. So we're basically, or school boards are basically demanding that that's done in a more timely fashion. Additional funding for English language learners, minimize the amount of field testing that we're mandated to do in our schools, and adjust calendars for the addition of any new holidays. We have a mandated number of instructional days that we're supposed to deliver on an annual basis. So every time there's a new state approved holiday, that sort of chips away at that number. That sort of creates issues with our calendars. Those are just sort of a summary of some of the resolutions, but it was great to work again with Bob Vecchio and the executive board of the Long Island NYSSBA to go over these resolutions. So I'm really glad I attended. It was informative. It's also Hispanic Heritage Month. Our different school buildings have been doing different sort of observations. This is a bulletin board from the middle school. We're also very pleased to bring in dancing classrooms to our school district. They met with our 6th graders in their PE classes and taught them some salsa and merengue dancing, which the kids practiced at their 6th grade dance. So they had a lot of fun. They also teach a cultural component to the dances, which is really cool to sort of behold. We also had the BMS Read Aloud with the Suffolk County Police Department. I want to thank Dr. Blasek for organizing that and bringing our police officers into the fold. The book that they read for this Read Aloud was Do I Belong Here? Es este mi lugar? I often ask that question of myself, in both English and Spanish. But basically the book focused on helping one another and building community together regardless of our differences. So I really want to thank Suffolk County PD Latino Liaison Officer Gilad for participating, the Suffolk County Police, and of course the middle school staff for making this happen. It was a very well-attended event and very fruitful. I also want to thank Ms. Stephanie Factor at Bellport High School for inviting me in to be interviewed by some of our English language learners for Hispanic Heritage Month. It's always great to commiserate with kids and share our commonalities and also look and speak to our goals. Moving on to some more South Country happenings. I got the pleasure of actually sitting in for an equity committee meeting where we engaged in the community circle, which was really a meaningful experience where we sat around, no titles, And I have to say that for those staff members and the one parent who participated, we came away feeling like we've known each other for our entire lives. And basically what the equity committee was trying to do was model what the function and purpose of community circles in our classrooms, in our schools. So I want to thank, of course, Beth Doyle for organizing this, and especially Naomi Escobar, our restorative practices coordinator, for facilitating this discussion. I also got to enjoy our Bellport Middle School engage in some Clipper Pride lessons. These are SEL lessons that are delivered periodically in our schools to talk about expectations. This photo captures kids trying to define what it means to be a Clipper. We also had our middle school 6th grade dance, which was a lot of fun. One of the things that I really enjoyed about it was the amount of parents who volunteered. I think there were something like between 30 and 40 parents in attendance, volunteering their time. And typically in secondary schools, parental involvement sort of diminishes, but it was great to see so many parents participating. We had student volunteers. It was a great time. And a lot of the 6th graders were actually dancing and not running around in circles, so that was really good to see. The high school also hosted its first college fair, the fall college fair. We had numerous colleges in attendance. So I want to give a big shout out to Jenna Restivo, Alberto Del Rosa, and the guidance staff for putting this together. Again, well-attended event, and a fruitful event for our students. And I also want to highlight our literacy leaders. This happened just this morning. We had a group of high school students visit Kramer to read aloud to some of the younger kids. And again, younger students really hold our high school students in high regard, so we love those interactions. Moving on, we have our College Board Testing Day scheduled for this year. It's coming up on October 22nd. All of our seniors will have access to the SAT in school. Our juniors and sophomores will have the ability to take the PSAT and also apply for the National Merit Scholarship. So it's a great opportunity that we afford our students in preparation for these College Board exams. Our freshmen will have the day off. So Jenna Restivo was kind enough to sort of put together a schedule of events that they can do as private events in their community so they make the best out of this day off for school. I'm sure many of them will just sleep in, but I want to wish all of our sophomores, juniors, and seniors luck on these College Board exams. Speaking of testing, I want to again emphasize the importance of taking state assessments. Our participation rate still isn't where it should be. High stakes testing, again, is a part of the educational journey, as evidenced by the College Board exams, which colleges seem to be holding in sort of counting. Again, there was a sort of movement to move away from them. It seems like we're shifting back to these entrance exams. But also we have mandated Regents exams, we have AP exams, and multiple career paths, whether you work in the trades, law enforcement, the military, require some sort of testing. So again, I think it's best that we equip our students with these skills and get them to acclimate to the whole testing process. And given our achievement gaps, I think it's important that we have a big sample size to see exactly where our students are at holistically and not just representing a portion of our population. Fall sports are also underway. We had a great home opener for our football team. It was dreary and wet and cold, but they came away with a win. It certainly did not affect our Bellport cheer team. We're cheerful the entire time, despite the miserable weather, I'll say it. I want to thank our fans who attended. Trustee DeLillo, Trustee Piccini was in attendance, along with Eric Del Rosa, Beth Doyle. It really was a great experience to see them actually beat one of our biggest rivals and a team that's held in very high regard. I also got to attend the alumni game, where we acknowledge or inducted to the Hall of Fame Mike LaGrega, Brian Stewart, Jason McGee, Eddie Carson, and Daquan Wilson. Another great game. We also had the debut of our Bellport dancers that were too cute. They did their dance routine, much to the delight of the crowd there. And it was an awesome game. Again, another victory. I captured this little touchdown. It was pretty cool to behold. And again, a lot of fun enjoying these football games. Our next home game will be our homecoming game on October 26th. We want to give a shout out also to our small but mighty pep band who keeps the music going during the game, and of course to our fans who attended, Trustee Felice, Trustee DeLillo again, and our athletic director, Mr. Sotelli, for his support in our athletic programs. But Bellport isn't only football. We have various sports going on at the varsity and junior varsity level, everything from cross country to golf. You know, Lauren just said her tennis season just ended, but volleyball, cheerleading are all these fall sports. Our next meeting, I'll highlight some of our middle school sports that are underway. You can follow a lot of these happenings through our various social media platforms. Please log on. You can find their information and links to those platforms on our website by logging on, number one, to the community portal. Subscribe to Blackboard Connect so you get correspondence from the district. All of our social media links are located on our homepage, as well as my superintendent's corner, my contact information, my social media links, and my weekly blog. And at this point, I'm very excited to present Kevin McGowan, who's waiting on the wings. I'll just have him log on in a second. But one of the things that we sort of contemplated at South Country is really developing a strategic plan that's both measurable and actionable. And one of the things that I've learned in attending various conferences and then speaking to Mr. Kevin McGowan is that to have sort of consultants come in and engage in the work allows the superintendent to be a participant in the conversation versus leading the conversation. Because oftentimes, when you're leading a conversation, your voice is lost. So here tonight, I'm really honored to present Kevin McGowan. Should be noted, Kevin McGowan is a sitting superintendent for the Brighton School District in upstate New York. He was also voted the New York State Superintendent of the Year and the National Superintendent of the Year. So I'm going to toggle to Mr. McGowan now. We should be waiting in our Zoom meeting. Okay, so
I don't know if you can hear me, but
We can hear you.
My image is now frozen. I'm not exactly sure why.
okay.
And I'm not able to indicate whether I can share or not.
You want to troubleshoot it on our end? Let's see if it's on our end.
Well, we have awkward silence. It is still 4-1. It's now the bottom of the seventh with one out, and the Mets have a man on first and third.
That's when Grand Slam, Francisco
Very
Lindor.
important.
You want to try to leave the meeting and come right back? I can't seem to see your video. Your video seems to be frozen.
Did you push the right there?
Yeah, he's like, you have to shift it over. It's not this computer, it's that one.
Can you type it in the chat?
I don't think he can either.
Christine, I just sent you a quick email. When you have a second.
Inspiring in the top right corner says error.
Yeah, good point.
I hope the Mets don't make an error.
That seems like it's on us.
What's that?
I apologize for the little technical difficulties.
That's the capitalized, so.
You trying to log back in?
You know what?
Yeah, I've never seen that thing that says error in the top right corner.
Which one? Oh, that's just a sign-in error. That's not related to the Zoom.
Keith was useful.
Give me a couple of more minutes.
While we're stagnant, question for the board, does anybody anticipate conversation, questions, et cetera, on the consent agenda for curriculum, personnel, and business?
No, I don't have any questions or comments on any of those items.
I am, for curriculum, no. For personnel.
Are we ready, or we're
no.
still waiting?
He's going back in.
Okay, Ann, did you hear that question?
No,
Did she,
she's
can
saying no.
can you hear me?
Wait, no, what question?
I'm sorry, I didn't project because I wasn't thinking about you online, sorry. Do you have any questions or comments you intend for the board consent agenda for curriculum, personnel, or business?
No, except that for the event.
Yeah, I've got that request in with Ms. Flynn to add you to that agenda item.
Okay, only that.
My thinking here is while we're sitting here,
Okay.
we can omnibus those three sections
Yep.
if
I will have
possible.
one question on consent agenda for business I3.
Okay, so then let's do G and
The other
H,
two, yeah.
Yeah.
okay? Ms. Flynn, did you get that request to add Ann Hayes to that?
I added it, do we have to revote, or,
No, we didn't vote yet.
I thought that was, C.
Ah, we do have to vote. I'm sorry, I thought that was further down. All right, we can fix that. Let's just vote on, I'll open the floor for a motion to approve consent agenda items in section G, curriculum.
Recommend it first.
To recommend it.
I'm sorry, you have to recommend it. I'm sorry, so do G
Yep.
and H, sorry.
The administration recommends approval of curriculum items reflected in Schedule G1 through G8
And H1 through 9.
and H1 through H9.
Can I have a motion for G and H? Mr. Lillo, seconded by Ms. Kavanaugh. Any discussion?
I have a question about
Okay?
it's one of the field trips where it says transportation, is going to begin in New York City. Like some real early hour in the morning. How are our kids getting into New York City to get that transportation?
Can you tell us which trip that is?
Is it the student council field trip?
Yeah, there's only one trip on there. The student council.
No,
No,
there's
there's a couple of
there's the
trips.
outdoor.
Middle School Frost Valley,
Yeah,
there's
it's about
Frost
John.
Valley.
DC.
Not,
Do you think it's that one?
Which item?
She didn't give us the item, she said it was one of the field trips.
It's not that one.
It's not which one?
It's not the student council one.
Oh, it's the, it's the leadership conference in Lake Placid. It is agenda item G8.
Student council trip?
Leaving at 9 a.m. and it says NYC.
Oh,
So-
that's because.
Yeah, we take buses to NYC and then probably taking train up.
That
Right,
makes sense.
with other schools.
Yep.
Did you hear that explanation, Ann?
no,
They're gonna take buses to the city, and they're gonna take a train from the city to Lake Placid.
Or a bus from Port.
thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for items G and H. Any other further discussion? Being none, all those in favor? And is, motion carries unanimous. Are we getting close here, or what do we think?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to postpone, I don't wanna belabor the meeting, we're still unable to log
So
on.
why don't we go to audit?
What?
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Oh, you just have to mute.
Yeah,
One of those computers needs to be muted.
you go out, I'm not getting for a second.
Okay. We're good now. All right, we're good. We're good.
Did you mute his?
Okay, now I think we're all set.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you.
now we
Sorry
are.
about that.
No, no worries, that could very well be on, my end too. We may not have paid the tiny mouse that spins around the wheel to keep the power going apparently, or the wireless, whatever, or the Wi-Fi, whatever.
No, I don't
the
think
case may
anybody
be.
can
So,
hear.
I apologize.
YouTube can hear.
Say again?
YouTube can hear is what you're asking.
All set for me?
I'm
How
asking,
about
yeah, hold
for
on
us?
one second. Can the folks in the room hear the presenter?
Kind of low. The board can't hear him. I
Okay.
can hardly hear him.
Here, go ahead. I put it on mine.
Sorry about that, Mr. McGowan.
Oh, no problem at all. All good now?
That's
That's
better.
good, much better.
All right, so one thing I'll start with, first of all, is Tony said very kind things. I recorded it, sent it to my mom. She appreciates it, so thank you for your kind words, Tony. She always checks. And to everybody else, I apologize for the tech issues. They could very well be on my end as well. I don't understand why we've been using Zoom now for a few years. You'd think that it would happen seamlessly, but somehow at the worst moment, something seems to go wrong. But I did enjoy listening to your report, Tony, and thought of all the ways that I should be including a lot more in my superintendent's report. Yours is very thoughtful and comprehensive. I'm excited to speak to all of you And Tony kind of laid the groundwork for this conversation and give you a very quick idea of what we'll be doing together and what this project looks like in terms of strategic planning. And it really is rooted in this foundation of intentionality and thinking very deeply about taking steps each and every day to get better and better, to improve our outcomes based on the circumstances that exist today, right? Not the way it was, but the way it is now. And I love your quote right at the beginning, Tony, from Jason Andrews' presentation about that nostalgia for the way things were. Although we want to get better, we need to take steps to do that and just be honest about that, direct about that, and then hold ourselves accountable to that. I'd have a smaller suit size if I was more accountable to myself regarding diet, exercise, and sticking with those routines. But being intentional pays off in a lot of ways in our life, right? Whether we use a map to get somewhere, a recipe in a cookbook, a to-do list to get our things done. Very specifically, to be respectful of your time here during a board meeting, and just give everybody in the community, all of you as a board, an idea of the steps in this process, very directly and focused, in a focused way. The first is this idea of community input and making sure we're asking people how they feel about our work. I think we should hold ourselves accountable to that all the time and be out there with that very, very vulnerable question: what can we do better? How can we improve? We're planning for the future. What would you like to see? To all members of our school community, I think that's an essential question for us to be asking, and to bring everybody into that and ideas that everybody has, I think, is key. And just the very simple act of asking people how they feel and what would they like includes a lot more people in the process than if you just brought a couple stakeholders in to have a conversation and do some planning as a team. By going out to your school community, you get a lot of feedback, but a lot of buy-in then in the results, because people feel like they've been a part of it from the beginning. The second step, and I'll give you a little more detail on each of these as we go through, is forming your mission, vision, core values, and I would say reforming, updating, building on that. That's the solid foundation of your plan. That's your core fundamental purpose, your mission. The Board of Education, representing community members, elected by those community members, should be setting forth the mission for the school district, the vision for the school district, and identifying the core values in the school district as well. They should do that, I think, with the advice and the counsel of the appointed leaders in the district as well, while reflecting on the feedback that comes in from the entire thought exchange also. So the first session we have together in person are about 2 hours with the board and the leadership team to really sort through that, connect with each other a little bit, really get at where we're coming from, what we think the purpose of South Country is, what the vision is for when we're accomplishing that purpose, and what our core values are as an organization. The second step is this blueprint meeting, right? This is a 4-hour session. We bring 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 perhaps. It depends on what you tell me works best for you. But a large group of stakeholders together to ask them, okay, this is what we drafted in terms of mission, vision, core values. What do you think of that? This is what's currently happening in the district. And these are our hopes, our dreams, our wishes from our perspective as leaders in the district. And there's a series of presentations that happen around that. And then we look at the data from the entire community, and we identify what we're going to do then to solve those problems. Along the way, when we first have that mission vision conversation, we also go through the data from the community and work through what the priorities are from that data. For example, these are like the buckets that your plan ends up going into. So you will have a bucket for probably, I will say, because you're a school district, academic excellence. You'll have a bucket probably for something around operations, right? The kinds of things that people say, around communication or facilities, building on where you are talking about the plans that you submitted, the approvals you're waiting for from State Ed for your project. People may have other things that they'd like you to be thinking about long term. And you'll probably have a bucket, a priority area around maybe the staff experience or the student and family experience. We'll see what your data says. And within each of those buckets, we're going to identify some areas specifically to focus on. They could be, for example, under academic excellence, your community might say, we'd like to see more rigorous advanced coursework for our kids. Okay, one of your focus area then would be advanced coursework. They may say, we're looking for more enrichment opportunities or more remedial opportunities, more support systems. They may, under the family experience, talk about mental health. That may be a focus area for you. It depends what your data says, but I'm just trying to give you a sample for what those buckets look like, and I'll show you one particular district and how they approach that. So we leave that night having worked in groups on each of those priority areas, getting a lot of ideas from people about what we should do about it. And then the last session is just with the leadership team to take all those ideas and say, okay, great, we have 50 ideas. Who's gonna do the work and when are they gonna get it done? And let's hold ourselves accountable to that. We put that all together for you in a package that is, you'll be very proud to present to your community and that they'll be very excited, I think, to read through and understand. But this will be your plan that unites your district, drives your spending plan, right? Your budget priorities every year, you're gonna sit down and say, all right, what do we agree to? What does the blueprint say that we are supposed to be doing and how do we fund that? It will unite and be the common thread through all of your committee work, all of your different initiatives in the district. Everything can come back to, this is the plan overall for everything that we should be doing. Along the way, I'll also provide a series of templates for you to have regular reports at your board meetings, overviews that you can send out to your community. But this can really be a part of that conversation through a really solid implementation plan. And again, holding yourselves accountable. The timeline for this is in November, your community exchange will go out. So I'll send to the district all the material for that and the invitation to go out. You'll be just simply distributing that to the community saying, tell us how you feel about how we're doing. And I'll show you that question in just a moment. And then again, the next month, so we have that scheduled for December 22nd, board, leadership team, mission, vision, core value. We'll get together for 2 hours to talk about those priority areas that came from the data and what you want to be doing in terms of core fundamental purpose, what it looks like when you're accomplishing that in core values. On January 9th, we'll have that blueprint meeting where we're inviting all the community members in, staff members, board, leadership team, to really come together and say, okay, all that's fine, now what do we do about it? And then finally, we'll schedule action planning after that and develop the plan shortly after that. That can all happen within that month. In fact, perfect timing really to be driving your budget conversations as you go into next year as well, and really clearly identify your priorities as you're going into planning for next summer, professional development, hiring, everything. This just gives you an idea of what that invitation looks like to your community, launching your strategic plan, explaining what you're doing, and asking them to contribute to that as well. The question again is, we're planning for the future. What should we be considering for short and long-term planning? What are we doing well? What can we improve on? Now, this is a departure from what some people do in terms of survey work to ask very specific questions about, for example, athletics or the arts or transportation, whatever it may be. Interesting thing about this as opposed to a survey is this allows community members to give you the input that they would like to give you. Surveys only give us answers to the questions we think to ask. In this type of scenario, people drive the feedback based on what they would like to share, which is wide open. And we tend to find out a lot more information than what we simply thought to ask in a closed-ended survey. Just want to give you a sample of what some of the thoughts look like when we get these surveys back in a particular district. It was about clubs and activities. Great, right? Basically do more of this. Great for social emotional health. Consistent discipline. You should be thinking about this. Regents. This isn't your district, right? This is another district. Regents review sessions be offered for all students taking Regents exams. We need a stronger focus on basic academics. Students are scholars above all else, and school's primary function is education. It's our primary goal. District parent communication is, in my opinion, at an all-time low in this particular district, right? So this gives us an opportunity to really reflect on the work that people are giving us. The ratings are based on everybody in that exchange seeing other people's thoughts anonymously and giving it a rating 1 through 5 stars, which helps us really prioritize what's on the mind of people in the community. By the way, not what's on the mind of the loudest voice, but in the voices of people who are contributing to this. Sometimes in meetings and conversations and opportunities when we hear from a small group of people, for example, we tend to think like, well, everybody must feel that way. The rating system in this type of format, being anonymous and people being able to do this in the privacy of their own home, not necessarily in a large group meeting, really helps shake out the data in a way that doesn't bend to just somebody who in the room might be most influential in that moment or most persuasive, or somebody just doesn't want to stand up and say, you know what, I disagree. It's a really interesting and thoughtful way to gather feedback. In this district, based on a lot of the feedback and thoughts, we landed at this priority area, and I mentioned you'll have focus areas. Theirs was academic excellence, additional supports, enrichment challenging courses, and skill development were the 3 key areas that they wanted to focus on within their priority area. Again, to give you a sense for that night, mission, vision, core value night, we'll work on developing that together, the mission, the vision, the core values. One key point, though, is we don't labor over drafts in that session, right? We don't argue over commas, conjunctions, and the one person in the room that thinks it must say lifelong learning. We, in fact, take a lot of feedback from you, have a lot of rich, good discussion with each other, and then draft that and send that back to you. So the time is more spent on discussion and exchanging ideas than it is on the chart paper kind of, what about this word and what about this grammar piece here or there, which we find to be a very valuable way to get at this. That blueprint night, again, we review that mission, vision, core value. We do some 5-minute fame presentations, not 6 or 7, they're 5 minutes. I always want to be really clear with people because then it moves quickly, it's more enjoyable for people. We review those priority areas. We develop an objective for each area. That becomes your district goal, by the way. So your goal setting process is really through this now, and you can update those on an annual basis, but they're really driven by this plan as well. We develop then strategies to meet those objectives. It's the what's, not the how, right? The how, the who's gonna do it, when are they gonna do it, that happens when we do this last session, which is action planning. We say to leaders, this is your domain, you need to own it, right? Let's revise those what's. If one of the what's that people suggested was landing a student from South Country on the moon by 2030, that may not land in the eventual plan, right? We have to revise that, but 99% of what people offer will end up in the plan. And then we have to determine who and when, of course, as well. One of your regional neighbors, Bayport Blue Point, developed a blueprint for excellence last year, and they boiled their priority areas down to community connection, academic excellence, the student experience, their mission, vision, core values, of course, are on the left-hand side of my screen and likely yours as well, and their core belief statements. This is unique to every district, right? This is all driven through the work we do together. It's not created in advance. It's not a template in that sense, other than we will develop these things, but based on your feedback, your data, your work together as a school community. Their action plans, and just a sample here for that first area for them, community connection on one side, academic excellence on the other, clearly lays out exactly what they'll be doing. Everybody knows in the entire school community, this is the work that we're doing, this is who's gonna do it, and this is when it's gonna be done. And you're now able to measure that on a regular basis through board meeting conversations, presentations to the community, you name it. This should be a regular part of your updates. We in our district have been doing this for a while now. Our principal reports focus on a different priority area at every one of our board meetings when they give their reports. This month they're focusing on academic excellence, one of our priority areas. We will then at a quarterly checkpoint review the priority area as a whole from the central office administrator who has taken charge of that particular area. And they will simply go through every one of these items. Here's what we've done. We've gotten this one done, we've got this done, and this is what it looks like, and this was one of the results of that work, and this is what we have upcoming. It really keeps us constantly focused on the work that we agreed to do together as a school community. And finally, that accountability, that implementation plan we think is awfully important, really committing to this is when we're going to present these items, this is the regular part of the conversation that we're going to have. We give you templates for that, so you can work through that, all customized for you. You present it in your voice the way it works best for your district, not for any other district, but we really get you started so you're well supported in that endeavor as well. Very collaborative process. A lot of people will be involved, but we think in a pretty efficient manner and builds a lot of capacity within your district around this kind of thinking. You'll walk away with a shared mission, vision, and goals. A lot of unity is built. It is focused, it is practical, it's measurable. Those action plans result in improved outcomes, and you can measure those. You'll be united in purpose, and really this is that common thread that will run through the district. So I'll stop sharing and just ask, are there any questions, anything I can answer for you? And Tony, is there anything you'd like me to elaborate on at all?
Any questions, board members? Mr. Barry?
I do. You know, from a standpoint of,
Project this way so he can hear you.
yeah, you're over there behind me. From the perspective of getting the community engaged in this, I mean, I think there's a lot of well-intentioned people. Are there best practices that we would need to do in order to get a robust response from the community to attend such and participate in these?
I think that's, oh, sorry to cut you off. It's hard when you can't see the person's face, but I will tell you this. A couple of things. One, in the initial launch, when you send out the invitation, whichever ways you communicate best with your community, this exchange is so easy to use that people do tend to click on it and they go in and they spend time on that. We will also provide you with some regular reminders and a nudge, you know, hey, listen, we're a couple weeks in, you have a good response rate. You should go out and publish that link again. And then people in different communities have done all different kinds of things where I've met board members that will take the link, they'll put it on a card and hand it out at their Rotary meeting or their Kiwanis meeting or their club that they belong to, whatever it might be, and distribute things that way and say, hey, listen, we're doing this, please jump in. There's in one district, one board member said he could identify, he thought the 30 community members, because one of the categories will be community members without children in school. He was part of a senior group. He said, let me tell you something, none of them have kids in school. All 30 of those people I handed a card to, and they went in the exchange. In terms of coming to that second session, though, more to, I think, what you're asking me, I think it's about identifying people in your community that you really would like to get to the table. So putting out a broad invitation, hey, if you're interested, and I'll give all of this to Tony as well, but if you're interested, please click here or please email this person, whatever the contact information is. And then you just start to go through the list of people who respond and start to determine, okay, do we have enough people from all of our community groups, right? So I often encourage people to tap their PTA, PTSA people, their reps, whether it's centrally or by building, could you come to the table? I often encourage people to work with their collective bargaining units, to send representatives to be at the table. All of you and your leadership team should be at the table. And then if you have particular groups in the community, I mentioned Rotary, Kiwanis, or other groups like that, you may ask if they could send a representative, or a particular business that plays a big role in your community. They often have community liaisons or community reps in some way that might be willing to participate as well. So I think it's really just about doing that legwork to get the word out and to then reach directly out to people and say, hey, we'd really like you to be a part of it. I will tell you that 4-hour session, people will look at it and think, oh my goodness, 4 to 8 p.m., that sounds like, I'd rather a sharp stick in the eye. It moves quickly. It really, really does. And it is an experience that many people walk away saying, I love that my voice was heard. I love the fact that I met different people, that I was able to express myself. And the night flew by and I walked away learning a ton about what is currently happening in the district, which a lot of people then become ambassadors for that work also. But there are people that kind of mope in the door and I can see them coming thinking, they do not really want to be here right now. And they're not into my dad joke, approach, my like Ted Lasso, aw shucks. But boy, they walk out excited and feeling really energized at the end of it too.
Hey, something else? Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Tony, you have any?
No, I just want to say I'm really excited to engage in this work. I think it's a great way to sort of get community input and have our entire community, parents, people who just live in the community, stakeholders, staff members, of course, the trustees and the leadership team to participate in creating a plan for the district that's going to propel us forward. So I appreciate your time. Sorry about the internet glitches, but I'm glad we got through it.
My absolute pleasure. Take care, everybody, and I will see you in December.
Thank you.
Thank
Yep,
you.
We'll see you soon.
Take care. Bye.
Okay, just one thing, the piece for Ann, that event isn't until November 18th, so why don't we just do it at the
I
next meeting?
can add a motion, I added a motion right now if you want, just
Is
take
it- I
a
mean,
separate vote for it.
It's fine with me, we can do a separate vote, I don't mind getting it done, that's fine. What, and where did you put that?
It's on my end, I don't know that you're gonna say it's the same language as trustee DeLillo. It's just, I put another one, it just copied it and took out Debbie's name and put in Ann's name. I can't save it until you vote.
Got it. Okay, just give me 1 second here, I just wanna get it out of the way, since it's somewhat out of order. Okay, can I have a motion? Wait, is this part of the consent? This is you, right?
Yeah, it was C2.
Yeah. But again, C2 isn't gonna
There's
show
one
here, so
underneath.
I can't take it as C2 again, can I?
No.
It's gotta be
Well,
C2A.
it's under C2, but it's a second motion under C2, so, I don't think.
Laura, any guidance here?
Well, just a point of order, what are we doing? We approved
This
the
is,
ones for Debbie, but
we
we have
approved
to
the ones for
swap
Debbie, and then
everything?
Ann asked to come in after we had already approved it.
Okay.
So we're just trying to get Ann approved for
We're
this
adding a
event.
second name.
We already approved the first name, so we need a separate motion just to add Ann to it.
I was gonna say, we could just make it,
Just a separate motion that is just for Ann, or you can revise the previous.
Yeah, why don't we amend the
Why don't we
second-
amend
that motion?
that resolution? So
And Ann.
we have to, the person amended has to be the person who made it, or anybody can amend it?
Anyone.
Okay, so can I have a motion to amend item C2?
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Ms. Felice, seconded by Mr. Lello. All those in favor? Motion's unanimous.
so now we have to vote on it.
Now we have to vote on, can I have a motion for item C2 as
As
amended?
Yep.
to include Ann Hayes in the Difficult Conversations event held by Nassau Suffolk School Boards and Scope. Can I have a motion? Mr. Lello, seconded by Ms. Kavanaugh. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now, we'll move on to trustee and advisory committee reports. Who do you want to do the presentation first?
Presentation. Mr.
Any-
Leone has been very patient.
Yeah, well, I was gonna suggest that as well. So any objections to swapping the presentation for trustee and advisory? I didn't think so. Yeah, come on up, Michael, we're ready for you.
Is your paperwork still up there?
I don't know, tough acts to follow there. Motivational
Yes.
quotes by the superintendent, blueprint for academic excellence.
Yeah, where's your motivation, pal?
What I can guarantee you, though, is mine will be a shorter presentation. So
Well,
that's a good thing. We hope.
2 outs and the Phillies have,
And
the
we'll
tying runs at the plate. So
We're done. We're done.
second and third, 2 outs here, so,
We're done.
It's nine.
top of the ninth, 2 outs, man on second and third, it's 1-1.
Should we wait?
No, let's go. If you see me jump up and scream, then you'll know to pause for a moment. I'm
I
just
think we got it.
I'm actually gonna
If
pay
we're up that
attention to you
big.
and not to New York.
That's great, that's great news. So, my name is Michael Leone, I'm a partner with Cullen and Danowski. We completed the audit for June 30th, 2024. I'm here to present the summary. I did meet with the audit committee on Monday. We went through the financial statements in great detail. Very good discussion. Tonight, as I mentioned, is just a summary. So first, I just want to mention, I want to thank the board for engaging us as the external auditors. It's definitely a process every year, and we receive great cooperation from Jen and Erica and the staff. That's a wonderful thing. Let's just first talk a little bit about why an audit is required. So annually, the district does need to get a financial statement audit and submit that to the New York State Education Department as well as the Comptroller's Office. Included within that report is also a requirement with compliance and laws and regulations. So we have to complete all of that, we have to complete our audit, we have to issue an opinion. Our opinion is known as an unmodified opinion, means that we obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects, and all the related disclosures are included within the financial statements. From a standpoint of compliance with laws and regulations, we have to make sure that the district does comply with those laws and regulations. And the event that we have any findings that relate to that, that would be included in the financial statement report. We do some work on internal controls as part of our risk assessment, and we did issue what is known as a management letter, and we'll talk a little bit about that. With respect to the summary on the health of the district, this particular year, the general fund did have a decrease in their fund balance. The primary reason for that is some transfers over to capital for both the auditorium, as well as just general capital for district-wide improvements. However, the district did finish the year with about $4.7 million in unassigned fund balance, which represents 3.32% of next year's $143 million budget. That's pretty healthy. You can go up to 4%, so you're at 3%, that's good. Even considering the decrease in the fund balance during the year, the general fund balance, the district is pretty healthy. They have some substantial reserves out there that they built up through surpluses in the prior year, so that's a good thing. What we have, we did have a management letter. What do you mean? Oh, am I hitting your keyboard? Is that what's happening? I apologize. We did have a management letter, and that is basically some comments that we make with respect to the internal controls of the organization. Management is addressing those, and they have 90 days from today to submit a corrective action plan to give what their plan is to the state as far as correcting those issues. We still do need to complete a single audit for June 30th, 2024. That is due in March of 2025. We have 9 months to complete that. More recently, we did complete the single audit for June 30th, 2023 in March of 2024. We did have one finding relating to that. It had to do with some federal funding for the Emergency Connectivity Fund. A corrective action has been submitted on that. So I don't know if there's any questions with respect to
Just one
anything that I
statement.
kind of covered.
Game's over, Mets won.
Nice. Even better.
I do have one question. May I ask it now? So with respect to the corrective action, with respect to the overage that the district was paid. It was found that there was a $29,000 overage.
Yeah.
So the district found that, and you found that in your audit, or the district found that?
We found that in the audit when we were reviewing it. What happens with the emergency connectivity funds, this was established for COVID to try and promote remote learning.
Right.
And the district was issued X amount of funds, I think it was like $290,000. What the eligibility for it and the usage of it is that you can only provide these type of, Chromebooks for one student. What happened is, and even if it breaks, the regulations say that you can't provide another one, but the district wanted to do the right thing and provided another Chromebook with that funding. Unfortunately, you're not able to do that.
And these are grant funds.
Yeah, they're grant funds. So we found about $29,000 worth of that. So they just have to work with the state and refund that, or that'll just be offset against another grant that they typically have. There's no penalties involved with anything like that.
Next question.
Yeah, no penalties. I mean, and it's a relatively newer grant, even though it is COVID funding.
And those were, extreme times
Sure,
at the time
sure.
of this happened.
It's wonderful
Right.
that the district was able to get that funding and provide Chromebooks to the students out there, because that's really useful, so,
So nothing to be alarmed about.
no, not at all.
That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah, and they have to, and again, they have to file a corrective action with that as well. And in the future, just as a general point, since we do have this delay in the single audit, what we could do in the future is when we meet with the audit committee, we could cover that single audit from the prior year.
Yeah,
if
but
you wanna do that.
actually, I'm glad you raised that.
Yeah.
Because this single audit, we didn't discuss this at the audit committee on Monday night.
Yeah, yeah.
So do we typically discuss this report or
So,
no?
all it has to be, it only has to be brought forth to the audit committee. It doesn't necessarily mean that I have to discuss it with you. If there are questions,
Okay.
then they can be discussed.
Well, could we?
Yeah, sure we
All right, why
can.
don't
So
we-
that's why I'm offering it.
Okay, let's do that in the future.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
it wouldn't
Yeah.
hurt.
That's right, we can cover the
Okay.
financial statements for the current year and as well as the more previous. But one of the suggestions I do make is when we're about to issue the single audit, that transmission of that single audit should be shared with the audit committee prior.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
But the discussion can definitely happen after the fact.
So, and then you mentioned, were you finished with the balance of your other report? When you talked about the 90-day corrective action plan?
Mhm.
Because in some of the management letters, the corrective action plan was within the management letter.
That's
And some
optional.
were not.
That's optional.
Okay.
So the requirement is that you have to submit something to the state within 90 days if you have a management letter. Or if you have a compliance finding, you would have to submit.
So in this case, since it wasn't in the
So
letter,
this
it's
is
gonna be
You're
submitted
definitely
later.
within compliance, you have 90 days, the management has 90 days. Some districts do elect to include it within their management letter and say that corrective action, but they still have to submit it to the state. Just because you put it in the management letter doesn't mean that the corrective action is
So would the
resolved.
business office call the audit committee together again once they prepare that? Or just issue it to the Board of
I don't think that's necessary unless the audit
Education?
committee specifically wants to see what the corrective action plan is, which is, it's not uncommon, but, you want to
And
make
it
sure
has to
that
go
they're
to the
addressing
board,
it
but
through
they
the
don't have to call the
corrective
audit
action,
committee,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, ideally, like your point is well taken in the sense that if you're going to include it in the management letter, you can already see it and
But
see
they
what the
should send
plan
it to
is.
the audit committee.
What's that?
They should send it to the audit committee?
They can send it to the audit committee if that's your preference, because you know what, again, keep in mind, the audit committee is overseeing the finances, so it's always beneficial to be very transparent and
Yeah.
have that discussion.
Yeah, I think it would be.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any other questions, any trustees?
See, now, did I promise I was gonna make it shorter?
No, Ann signed off, so,
All
great.
right.
Mr. Leone, thank you very much, great to see
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Take care now.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience as well.
That's no problem.
Okay, moving on to trustee and advisory committee reports. You're up. Go ahead, Lauren, what you got?
At Buckler High School, we are looking forward to a very busy October. To start, the classes have started float building for the homecoming floats, which will be on display at the homecoming parade on October 26th. On October 16th, the student council is visiting the elementary schools within the district to educate the younger students about safe trick-or-treating. We're very excited and can't wait for Pep Rally and Spirit Week, which will take place the week of October 21st. The student council voted upon the themes using student input. These themes include students dressed as teachers and teachers dressed as students, Movie and TV Character Day, Rhyme Without Reason, Surfers vs. Bikers, and last but not least, Class Color and Bumper Cheese Picking. On Friday, October 25th, we have our pep rally, which will have some new and exciting changes. We're excited for both the homecoming dance, parade, and game, which takes place on October 26th. On October 30th, we have Trick or Treat Street, which involves our clubs, honor societies, FEHS, outside organizations such as the Brookhaven Free Library, as well as our pre-K through 5th grade students of our South Country community. Trick or Treat Street also begins our fall food drive at the high school, so we're looking forward to that. Lastly, looking towards November, the Student Council is looking to attend a leadership conference in Lake Placid, similar to the one we attended in January in Washington, D.C., which was great. We learned a lot, got a lot of great feedback. So we are thrilled to partake in the events in October and can't wait to see our school community as well as the district community come together to have fun and celebrate with one another. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Felice, anything from you?
Yes, thank
I'm
you.
sorry, did you have a question?
I did have a
I'm
question.
so- I'm sorry, I should.
Maybe it's my lack of, what is a spiker?
A spiker.
Surfers versus spikers?
Oh, surfers versus bikers.
Oh, bikers.
I
think it just blended
Thank you.
together.
I missed that. I was like, what is the spiker?
Yeah, so
I
we
thought it was a
have-
volleyball
We have
player maybe.
surfers, so they dress in like the Hawaiian
I figured what a
shirts,
surfer
leather
is.
jackets for the bikers. So.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
Team Beach
Cool.
Movie.
Which team do you want to be on?
Probably a surfer.
Okay.
They sound cooler.
Yeah.
You don't have your biker in
I
there?
wouldn't say that to a
Not even
biker
let
though.
it-
No,
I can introduce you to a couple.
Yeah.
All right.
Ms. Felice?
Yeah, quickly. Attended the Compass Unity meeting this month. You know, they continue to raise awareness for, preventions for underage drinking, and they're doing a wonderful job in our community. Enjoyed the varsity football game this weekend for a beautiful day. Also attended a ribbon cutting for the new and improved food pantry at St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Patchogue. It's in Patchogue Village, so it is just outside our district, but many people from our district volunteer at both the food pantry and the soup kitchen. And it is a wonderful resource for those that are, food challenged. That I hope our district advises people to take advantage of if they do have food insecurities. And then attended the audit committee, which, as you heard from Mr. Leone, we had a very vibrant meeting concluding this year's work. So that was this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lowell.
Hi, I just want to recap, I went to the Brookhaven PTA meeting a couple weeks ago. Just highlighting a couple of things going on there. They're very active. The PTA was very welcoming, so I just want to say thank you for that. They're opening some community service opportunities for their third graders in the food pantry that runs out of Brookhaven Elementary. It's never too early to teach kids about community service. Two other things. The fun run for Mr. Chavius on October 19th is actually beginning at the high school and ending at Brookhaven. There's a flyer out there somewhere. I couldn't put my hands on it, but they did want to say costumes are welcome because Mr. Chavius was a very big costume person. And a shout out to two students, Lily Mora and Milagro Escobar Acosta. Sorry if I killed your name. The designers of this year's Beaver Buck at Brookhaven. They use that in the school store. It's like a reward system for student behavior. But very big deal to have your design as the Beaver Buck, so congratulations. And they invited me to be a reader at the school, which I am so excited about, starting next week. I'll report on how that goes.
Great. Ms. Kavanaugh?
Nothing, Mr. Pacini, thank you.
Mr. Barrett?
Something exciting to report.
Nothing exciting for me either, so moving on. That's it for D. The cards are non-agenda. And we're on item F. Right?
Yes.
Yep,
Is that you or is that me?
that's you. So basically, we're gonna see if there's a motion to accept our financial statements, or if there's any more discussion.
Yeah, do we need to do that? Does anybody want to do that separately, the financial report, or take it as is? If anybody has any additional comments on it?
Just for the record that Trustee Hayes did ask us to say, since she had to sign off, she is away on the West Coast visiting with family, that she did attend the audit committee and is in favor of approving and accepting the financial statements and the independent auditor's report.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll open the floor for a motion for items F, 1, 2, and 3.
I'll make a motion.
Sorry, Ms. Kavanaugh, beat you, but you can
Good.
second it. Second by Ms.
I think two
Quick
is just
thought.
discussion, I don't have a motion.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Ooh.
2 was really for discussion
Yeah,
for the
I'm sorry, my
resolution.
mistake.
From tomorrow.
But 3 is, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
3,
All right, my
It's
mistake.
just a reading.
I'm sorry, so you gotta withdraw that motion.
so it's only 1,
It's 1 and 3, right, or no?
No, it's just one.
just
But-
1, I think.
But don't we have second reading and approval on the same night? It's usually the approval, so we're
Oh,
gonna,
all right.
so it might be
So-
worded differently, but that's normally the way it is, so, we had a motion and a second, I just need you to withdraw your motion. Is it a motion to
Yeah.
withdraw your motion?
No, I'm withdrawing my motion.
Just amend the motion.
Okay, so, so, can I have a motion to amend the motion, right?
So you're gonna
Or am I
amend-
just gonna accept it?
You're gonna amend, for acceptance, approval of items F1 and F3, rather than.
Everybody get that?
Mhm.
So can I have a motion to amend, for the amended motion of items F1 and 3? Ms. Kavanaugh, seconded by Mr. Barry. Any discussion? Now we're voting on the 2, correct?
So now you just voted to amend, now you're gonna vote to accept.
To accept the amendment, then we gotta vote on the resolution.
Now you're gonna vote on the resolution.
Okay, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimous. So it's done.
You're out.
Thank you. I
And nobody
apologize
got
for the
hurt.
misstep there. So items 2, board resolutions. So this is the results of the annual NISBA Resolutions Dinner. What happens is the Nassau Suffolk School Board Association puts together a list of resolutions that are presented by New York State School Board Association to the legislation for potential approval. Mr. Lillo is our representative for NISBA. Do you want to speak on this at all?
I just wanted to put it out to the board to see if anybody had any feedback on any of the proposed resolutions. Mr. Santana did attend the business meeting, the dinner, and there are some resolutions, some recommendations made. Just want to know if anybody disagrees with those resolutions, or if there are certain ones that do warrant.
When is your annual meeting?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
At 4 o'clock.
At 4, that's right, at 4 o'clock, okay.
So, yeah, so the question is, do any trustees have any issues with any of the resolutions or the results of the Nassau Suffolk School Board meetings resolutions that we should advise, so we're okay with
I just
Debbie voting
Yep.
in line with,
Accordingly.
With
The
the
Nassau
board.
Suffolk.
I don't want to
yeah, no.
speak out of turn on something.
And so many of these are repeats, it may be different words every year, so for those who don't, every now and then something new pops up. But good luck tomorrow.
Yeah.
I know they've gone to great lengths to streamline that meeting.
Yes, they have, which
You know.
meant more meetings.
Yeah, well, yeah, so,
Instead of longer meetings.
Yeah.
last year,
I had a couple
it
so
went
far.
past midnight, so, but I don't
Yeah.
think, they actually, Nassau Suffolk, which the School Board Association, those who don't know, I am a member, has discussed having workshops on how to write a resolution and how to streamline the process, so, because a lot of it has to do with how these things are written, et cetera. So, okay, so no trustees have any issues, so we're good. Have fun tomorrow.
Godspeed.
There's a reason nobody else volunteered, and the new person's doing it, I'm just teasing you.
No, I get it.
I'm
There's a
joking.
reason.
I'm joking. All right, so that's item F. We did curriculum and personnel. Moving on to item I, board consent agenda for business.
Yes.
Go ahead.
The administration recommends approval of business items reflected in schedules I-1 through I-6.
I-1 through 6, can I have a motion? Motion, Mr. Lillo, can I have a second? Mr. Barry, discussion? No discussion? See none, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimous. I just want to make sure we didn't jump over anything, right?
I
Good,
think we
okay.
got it all.
I think we did, right? That was a little confusing,
Yeah.
I blame myself. Now
Because
we're
I
on-
had originally asked you, I was gonna discuss number 3, but we addressed
But
it.
we
on
addressed it there,
Mike's.
so we're good.
Yes.
Okay, so now it is, I'm sorry, public commentary. Is this the whole script here or just the bottom bullets? No, I just wanna make sure I have a, say that again?
You gotta do the
The whole thing? Okay, so, the regular scheduled South Country Central School Board of Education meeting, listen to district
We want to
calendar.
excuse
I'm sorry.
our student representative.
Oh, yeah, Lawrence, you gotta go, take it easy.
Go do some homework.
Thank you.
Say again? Yeah, where is that one? I was trying to. Okay, so a school community member who wishes to speak must complete a comment card found by the door when you walked in. Board will only recognize residents or school employees who have completed and submitted a comment card to the district clerk. Comments for each speaker are limited to 3 minutes. There will be no sharing of minutes. Public sessions are limited to 30 minutes total and continue as long as they're conducted in an orderly fashion. All questions must be directed to the Board of Education and be relevant to school district matters. Comments from the audience on agenda items will be heard after the board. Maybe I can do it did that. Comments from the audience on non-agenda items will be at the end, which you did. The board may recognize a speaker not more than twice on the same topic. Neither the South Country School Board of Education nor the Superintendent of Schools will entertain in public comments relating to personnel matters or individual students. Please be aware that both staff and student privacy are protected under the law. If you have concerns or any issue regarding a staff member or a student, please contact the superintendent's office. With that being said, our first speaker is Christina Goyes. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Welcome, come on up.
Hello, thank you for your time. I'm here today because I wanted to talk about the issue of the speech services for Belper Middle School. I am aware that there has been a problem since the beginning of the year. I know that the speech therapist that usually is there in the building, she went out on maternity leave, which is totally understandable. However, my son in particular was not receiving speech services. I did go back and forth with the director of special education, and they told me that, they reassured me that any missed services would be granted to him. However, I was never told a direct plan.
Sorry, we can't talk about individual students, even if it's yours. You can talk in generalities about the services that weren't delivered, or, you know,
Okay.
just don't speak specifically about, because it's a public meeting.
Okay,
And so, I know it doesn't make sense because you're a mom, I'm assuming,
right.
This can be really kind of hard.
but you can speak in generalities
Yeah.
that students didn't receive services.
Just say students instead of my child. That
So,
might, so say this.
I was reassured that these services were going to be rendered, and I was never given a plan of exactly how it was going to be rendered, and I am aware that there are other 2 speech therapists from 2 different buildings that are coming in to fulfill those needs. However, those services are being given twice a week, when on the IEP, should be given 5 times a week. So there's still 3 days that are not fulfilled, and I just wanted to know what was the plan, if there's something that, is this gonna be handled? I know there's a timely matter for this to be done.
Sure.
This is the type of conversation we're gonna have tomorrow. I can call you in the morning, and I'll specifically answer your questions.
Yeah, we don't want to answer anything specifically related to your child, but you're
It's not
sure.
about my child.
No, I
It's
get
about
it.
every child.
No, and I understand that, and I'm not trying to dismiss you, I'm just trying to make sure that, the superintendent will reach out to you tomorrow for sure, and he'll discuss what the plan of action is.
Correct. I spoke to a couple of parents actually this afternoon. I'll call you.
I CC'd you on an email, and I've never heard anything back, that's why I'm here.
I didn't respond.
No,
I apologize for that. I'm really good about responding, so it never slipped through the cracks, so I
believe me,
apologize.
I have a full-time job, I'm doing my own thing too, and I.
Yeah.
I
No, I
don't wanna have
apologize.
to
But I'll
waste
give you a
anyone's
call.
time. At the end of the day, my child is very important to me.
Of course.
And his education, obviously, this is not like for question, like, this is essential for him. If he
Right.
doesn't get his services, he will regress.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, so please, if the number on the card, I'm not gonna say it out loud for the public, this is an accurate number. I'll give you a call in the morning. You have my word.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, the next speaker is Brianna Kuchar. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Great, welcome.
2 for 2.
Thanks for your time.
Good place.
It's gonna be a little tricky to
I get it.
not speak. Basically, there's a transportation issue. As of like the beginning, my kids received transportation last year to a private school. And I was told there was a bit of a glitch in the system, and as of the second day, there's no transportation for not just my children, but other children in the district. Is this gonna be another?
Yeah, sorry, we have the attorney, so we have to abide by the rules. I don't know if you can speak in generalities, but you're wishing to appeal a decision that was made on transportation.
What do you say?
You're wishing to appeal a decision that was made to provide transportation to a private school. So we've received information, the Board of Trustees will review it,
Okay.
and we'll be in touch as soon as all the information is reviewed. We're looking at different sort of factors that.
Is there like a timeline, like, only because it started at the beginning of the school, and at this point, they're not going to school. So there's like a,
I mean, as quickly as possible. I can't give a definite or specific timeline, I apologize, not here at this moment. But I'll reach out to you, I'll have a telephone conversation with you as well. As long as this 934 number is the one to contact, I'll give you a call.
okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Any closing remarks, trustees?
No.
Do you have anything? No? I'll open the floor for a motion to adjourn. I'm voting on that, shouldn't be making the motion again. Mr. Lillo, seconded by Mr. Barry. All those in favor? Motion carries. Have a